Hi everyone, I'm Gina from Gina K Designs and your host of Stamp TV. Today on Stamp TV, I'm going to show you a fun card project featuring our brand new incentive stamp set, You're the Best. Let me show you the tools and products you need to make this card project. First, you need some ink, and the inks that I'm using are the Gina K Designs Black Onyx, some Sweet Corn, and some Peach Bellini. Then you're going to need some Memento Tuxedo Black. I'm going to be doing a little bit of Copic coloring, and I like to use the Memento ink for that part. You're also going to need some sponge daubers, and I have one for my Sweet Corn and one for my Peach Bellini. You're going to need an embossing folder, and I'm going to use the Cuttlebug Swiss Dot folder. Now this is the old style Swiss Dot folder. The new Cuttlebug folder comes in a 5x7 size, so it's a much bigger folder, but the actual pattern is the same. It just allows you to emboss more of the cardstock. So if you go and look for this, it's going to be a little bit bigger in our store than the one that I have here. You're going to need some scissors and some ribbon, and I'm using some wide black gingham ribbon. You're going to need some dies, and I'm using the double-stitched die from Cottage Cutz. This is the double-stitched circle. And then I'm using one of the purple circles from Cheery Lynn Designs. These are the circle stackers in the purple option. Then I have some foam squares here, some acrylic blocks, and I have You're the Best mini stamp set right here. And this is the one I'm going to use for my focal image. Now for markers, I brought a bunch of colors over. I'm not sure if I'm going to use all of them or not, but I just grabbed a variety of them. I have R59, which is cardinal, and you can see that's a chow marker. They're all the same ink, just different style pens. Then I have lipstick orange, which is R17. I have cadmium red, which is R27. I have strong red, which is R46, and then I have some greens, G43, which is pistachio, and YG93, which is grayish yellow. I also have my favorite white gel pen. This is the Uniball Signo pen, and it's a pigment ink in here, and it is so bright and vibrant. It is absolutely my favorite. Then I also have a little bit of adhesive, and I have some washi tape, and I'm going to do a technique similar to the last video that I did using the Tim Holtz Rays, R-A-Y-S, rays, like sun rays, stencil. So for cardstock, I have some layering white, some black onyx, and a heavy base weight white card base. So I'm going to start with this small panel here, and I'm going to let's see here. I'm going to tape this down just lightly at the top here, just so that doesn't move. And then I'm going to place my stencil over that, right about here. Maybe I'll move it over just a hair. I'll do it right about there. Okay. And then I'm going to grab the washi and tape that down so that doesn't move. This is such a fun stencil. I've really been giving it a workout. All right, so I'm going to start with my Sweet Corn ink and my sponge dauber. And I'm going to ink up that sponge dauber real well. And I'm going to start in a circular motion down here at the bottom where I want my darkest color, and I'm going to work my way up with a lighter hand as I go out. And you can see it's getting a little bit lighter as I go. Ooh, I moved that paper. Let me flip that over. If that happens, all is not lost. You can flip it over. I'm going to tape that down just a little bit better. Maybe I will tape it down over on these sides. Even though this isn't really part of the cardstock, I think if the stencil doesn't move as much, the cardstock won't move as much. Okay, we'll try that one more time. And I'm going to hold the cardstock down while I work on this. And I'm just pressing onto the stencil area to hold that down so I'm not putting any fingerprints anywhere on my cardstock. Okay, so now I've done the rays. Now I'm going to add a little bit of that peach Bellini color. So if you ever have trouble opening our ink pads, there's a little white lip over the edge. Just pop your fingernail under there and it'll open up very easily. But they're nice and tight, and that will eliminate the lids flying off, and it will also keep them juicier longer. So I'm going to go over this same area again, keeping my darkest color toward the bottom, and then just kind of working my way up a little bit into the rays. Okay. And now I'm going to remove the stencil, and I'm going to ink this up a little bit more and then go back over that area and build in the sun. Really get some sunshine going. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the peach Bellini over it. Now, our peach Bellini is a beautiful color. It's actually very pinkish peach, but when you mix it over the sweet corn, you really get that warm, sunshiny look from it. Okay, so now I'm going to remove this little piece of tape here, and I'm going to begin some stamping. Let me just close up my ink pads. All right. So now I'm going to grab this Memento Tuxedo Black ink pad, and let's zoom in a little bit so you can see a little bit better here. Okay, so the flower that I'm going to use is this kind of whimsical tulip. I'm going to put this on a small block. Now, when you have a single flower like this and you want it to appear like different flowers, you can make it look that way just by positioning it a little bit differently as you go across the card. So the first one I'm going to position just like it is, kind of nice and straight there in the center, like that. Then this one, I'm going to angle it a little bit more this way and just get half of the leaves, like that. And then this one, I'm going to stamp it kind of coming in from an angle like this. And then I want one more leaf there, so I'm going to ink it up again, and I'm just going to touch the leaf to it right here. And that added a little extra leaf, so my leaves look more balanced. Okay, so in the meantime, while that's drying for just a second, I'm going to grab my Gina K Designs Black Onyx ink, and I'm going to stamp the greeting right here on this piece of white cardstock. So I'm going to ink that up real well. Get the lid out of the way and stamp it. There we go. And then I'll put that aside for a second. And now we're going to do a little bit of coloring on this. So for the leaves, I'm just going to alternate between the grayish yellow and the pistachio. Kind of like a coloring book, where you're just coloring in those little segments in different colors. You're not going to see a whole lot here because of the color being on top of that sponged color. But just to give it a little interest, and just alternating the different colors. I'm not going to do much shading here. Okay, and then I'll grab the pistachio one, and I will add the lighter green into the opposite spots. And obviously when you're coloring over ink, it's going to change the color of the marker. So you can try different colors on scrap paper first over the ink, or you can just wing it and see how you like it. Maybe a little bit on this one. Okay. So now my next part I'm going to do is I'm going to start by using my lightest red. This is the R17, which is lipstick orange. And I'm going to color the entire tulip using this color. This is such a fun, whimsical image. I just love it. Nice and big open spaces to color. And this stamp set's also really fun to emboss and color or watercolor. I did another video last week using one of the leafy images to create a snowflake. If you haven't checked out that video yet, you can find that on both my YouTube channel and on stamptv.com. All right, so now I'm going to grab R46, which is my third, almost my darkest color. I have one more dark color, one more color that's a little bit darker, and this one I'm just going to color, kind of work my way up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go back to that first color, that R17, the lightest one, and I'm going to work that color in, kind of do a little blending over the line between them, just to soften the line. And then I'm going to go with a really dark one, which is the R59. That one, again, is called Cardinal. I'm going to add just some darkness down here at the bottom. Like that. Just kind of flick it up. And then I'll grab, again, the R46 and blend that up into that a little bit. It just gives some dimension to the flower. And I can grab that real light one again if I want and blend that up into the top. Okay. So now this panel is going to go on top of my black Onyx panel. And I'm going to apply that with a little bit of this Easy Dot adhesive. I've told you a million times I love this dot style adhesive because it's very forgiving. If you mess up, you can still lift it up. Okay. And then I'm going to add a little bit of ribbon to this panel. So I'm going to cut some of this gingham ribbon and place that right about there and then tape it onto the back. And make sure that is where it needs to be. Okay, so now I'm going to grab the Cuttlebug. And we're going to do a little bit of die cutting and a little bit of embossing. So the first part will be to cut my greeting piece, which I'm going to cut with this double-stitched circle die. And then I have a little piece of black cardstock here that I can cut that circle out with too. I'm only going to be careful with this one to make sure that stays in the center. I'm not going to worry if the other one moves a little bit because it's just plain. So I'm going to kind of keep my fingers right over that as it's going through. And there's my black piece. And here is my double-stitched circle piece. And these two are going to layer together using some adhesive. So let me put that aside. Then we're going to use the Cuttlebug folder, and I'm going to emboss a 3 3/4 inch by 5 inch panel of white layering weight. And I just have to line this up with my eyes here, make sure it's straight. That's looking pretty good. and then my B plate on top of that, and send it through. This is one of my oldest Cuttlebug folders, and it's still one of my favorites. I still pull it out all the time. So there, you can see the dots on there, and that's all embossed. And now it's time to assemble this card. So let me grab these extra pieces here. Now the first thing I'm going to do to assemble is adhere the Swiss dotted piece to a piece of black Onyx. Put that together. And then this whole panel is going to go onto my white card base. A few little pieces of things that were on my desk stuck to me. Okay, so now that's put together. Now, my next part is to apply this to my Swiss dotted panel. And whenever I have ribbon on my card, I always like to give it a little bit of tape right on the ribbon so those tails don't come up, especially when you're putting it on an embossed piece, because it's kind of bumpy and you want to have a little bit of extra hold. Okay. And now let me stick these two pieces together. I really like this combination, the purple circle stackers dies with the Cottage Cutz double stitch circle. It gives you a really nice delicate little edge there. And then I'm going to adhere that on just with one of these foam squares right at the top. You can put a little tape here on the bottom. And then we're going to position that where we want it to be. That looks pretty good, pretty centered. And we'll stick that down. Okay. And now, I might move that over just a little. There we go. Okay. And now I'm going to add a little piece of ribbon right under this piece of ribbon to make a tiny knot. And just pull that nice and snug there. And then trim it on both ends. I always cut one side too long. I have to go back and recut. All right, there we go. And now my final piece is going to be the final piece of my card project here, piece of the puzzle, is to add some of this white gel pen. And if you ever have any trouble getting it started, just find a piece of cardstock that's not quite as smooth and just bounce on it a little bit and you'll get it started right away. And then I'm going to just add some little dots onto the tulips. Like that. It's a fun little accent. Ooh, that's my watch. Ringing. Let's see if I can shut that off. There we go. I wonder who that was. All right. And that is my finished card project. Now I'll show you on my other one. I laid it out just a little bit differently with the greeting image. I just brought it down a little bit over the ribbon. So there's two different ways to lay it out. You can have the ribbon kind of dipping down under it, or you can have the focal image kind of covering up a little bit of that ribbon. I don't know which way I like it better. I kind of like it both ways, so I'll let you guys decide. But that's another fun way to use the Raise stencil by Tim Holtz, along with the new incentive set that's available at no cost to you with your qualifying order from GinaKDesigns.com. Every month we have a new incentive set, and you can get it with any $75 or more purchase for free. You don't even have to put it in your cart. It automatically ships. And this month it's You're the Best. So there's a fun little card project for you to do using that new incentive set. I hope you've enjoyed today's Stamp TV video. Stay tuned to Stamp TV for more card projects, and thanks so much for watching.